Erica here today. I'm here to do a tag video, which is something I rarely ever do, but it's VEDA, and what the hell. This is the Reading Habits tag. It was originally created by the Book Jazz, and I will leave the link to her original video in the down bar. This tag is pretty self-explanatory. There are questions, and I will answer them. Question 1. Do you have a certain place for reading at home? I usually read in bed. I sometimes read on my couch in the living room, but I live in a very tiny apartment, so I don't have like a reading nook or anything fancy. Question 2. Bookmarks or random piece of paper? I usually try to use bookmarks, especially the ones I get from the book depository, because a lot of them are really pretty. But if I do not have a bookmark handy, I will use whatever I can find. Question 3. Can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a certain number of pages or a chapter? I ideally would like to always stop reading at the end of a chapter, but that doesn't happen for me. I read a lot at night, and sometimes I just start to fall asleep, and then I have to be done. I can't push myself to do it anymore. So a lot of the times I leave off in the middle of chapters and all over the place. I know that would drive some people crazy, but it doesn't really bother me. Question 4. Do you eat or drink while reading? Rarely. I try to sometimes, and I'm really bad at it. Occasionally I'll drink a glass of wine or tea or water, but that's about it. Question 5. Multitasking. Music or TV while reading? That was great inflection, huh? No, absolutely not. I cannot multitask to save my life. Question 6. One book at a time or several at once? I used to be strictly a one book at a time girl, but recently that has changed, and now I usually have several going at once. I do try not to mix up my mediums too much, so I'll read like a collection of short stories, I'll read a nonfiction book, and then I'll read a fiction or a graphic novel or something. But I try not to read like 2 classics at one time or 2 literary fiction novels at one time, because then my brain just explodes. Question 7. Reading at home or everywhere? Everywhere, ideally, but I do most of my reading at home. I do take a book with me everywhere that I go, though, so if I have a few minutes, I can pop in and out of it. Question 8. Reading out loud or silently in your head? Unless I am reading something in Spanish, which I do sometimes, or Shakespeare, I read in my head. I think that Shakespeare is best read aloud, because it's so much fun. And sometimes if I'm reading something in Spanish, it helps me focus a little bit more on making sense of it all in my mainly English-speaking brain if I read it out loud. Question 9. Do you read ahead or skip pages? No. No, don't do that. Question 10. Breaking the spine or keeping it new? I really hate to break my spines, but sometimes it's unavoidable, in which case I'll just go for it. Question 11. Do you write in your books? I used to annotate my books very heavily. I have recently stopped doing that because now I keep a reading journal where I take notes along the way, and I use little sticky tabs to mark passages. But I have nothing against writing in my books, and every once in a while I will jot down a quick note or something that I found interesting. I also usually, if it's a book I'm planning on reviewing on my channel, I'll usually keep a sticky note just in the front cover, and so I can jot down notes right there about like overarching themes or something that I've found interesting about the book. And question 12 is, who do you tag? I'm not going to tag anyone. I think this tag is a little bit old. I have no idea who's done it. I'm just doing it for fun. So if you want to do it, consider yourself tagged, and I will see you all soon. Bye!